followers of
Welcome.
Science Factory. Today we have Jean-Pierre Houdin with us, which is a very famous architect that has worked on the pyramids for a long time. Welcome, Jean-Pierre.
Thank you, Alicia. Welcome, Jorge.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work to give us a background of what you do?
First of all, I am an architect, graduate in 1976 from Beaux-Arts in Paris, and I worked as an architect for 20 years. And in 1999, my father, watching a TV documentary about the pyramids, at the 90, he said to himself, if I have to build a pyramid, I will build the pyramid from the inside and not from the outside. And he started to make some drawings. He was an engineer who did the bridge and the dams and a lot of big projects. And knowing that I was an architect and having some experience in 3D drawing, he asked me, please, could you make me some drawings of the pyramid? And at the beginning, I said, oh, it's boring what you're asking me. And finally, a few months later, I said, oh, this is a nice idea. And I started to make drawings in 3D. And I said, oh, maybe it's taking my time to try to explain how the pyramid were built. And because the basic idea was completely different to the idea from everybody to build the pyramid from the outside, which is impossible, just impossible. And from the inside, everything is very easy. With time, I quit my job, I closed my job. Just work only on pyramids for 25 years. And it was a great journey in the old time, 45 centuries ago. And I think that with time now, I have understood the mindset of the architect of the time. And the basic idea of the architect and engineers of the time was we have to be logical and simple, because we have only wood, stones, ropes to build a pyramid. So we have to be very clever. And in fact, it's very, very simple to build the pyramid. Everything is very simple. And it's amazing. Simplicity is amazing. And Leonardo da Vinci said once, the ultimate sophistication is simplicity. And it's true. And when I look around about other ideas for building the pyramids, it's always very complicated and it's just impossible. You can't be outside to build the pyramid, you have to be inside. And I don't build the pyramid with just an internal ramp. I build the pyramid with an external ramp, but a small one. And for the Khufu pyramid, I've studied the topography of the plateau, of the Giza plateau. And on the Giza plateau, you can see a lot of clues, trace of the working site of the time. And it's also very simple.
We're going to get into more technical details of your theory a little bit later. But I would like to know, because as you were saying, you got the idea at the beginning from your father, but because your father asked himself how were the pyramids built, and that gave you the inspiration to do your own research. But how was your first encounter with ancient Egyptian architecture, your first trip, your first time when you saw the pyramids yourself? Was it after you had already started to do your research?
It was 5 years later. My father watched a documentary on the pyramids on January 99. I went first time in Egypt at the Giza plateau on September 2004. But it's not a problem of looking, being on the site. It's an engineering problem. It's an architectural problem. And it's just reflections. You have to think about the questions and to find the answers. And being on site is not the most important thing. Being go on site after, it's very important to check if you have the clues, and there are a lot of clues of what I say. And regards to the other Egyptologists looking at the way the pyramids were built, they are not in the box like all the others. They have just a pensée unique, and they don't understand the problematic of the construction. They are not architects, and at the time of the construction, Egyptology didn't exist. It was with the French mission with Bonaparte in Egypt that Egyptology started. So they are not, Egyptologists are not prepared to understand the way the pyramids were built. It's just a question of architecture, and you have to be a trained architect to understand.
Technical aspects that require technical education to be
Yes.
understood more deeply. But I guess that I'm not an architect, but I think it's important to be at the site, see the dimensions of the stones, the blocks, the stone blocks, or maybe some traces you can find. It's and you were involved in a project with Dassault, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I 6 years with Dassault Systèmes, working on 3D and updating my theory, and we did also a lot of simulations. And the last iteration, the 3D drawing with Dassault Systèmes was designed in Egyptian measurement in cubits, in pounds, cubits, and digits. It's not in meters. When you start working in Egyptian, it's easier to understand because it's also very simple. It's a Grand Gallery. It's 4 cubits large. Corridors are 2 cubits large. The King Chamber is 20 cubits long to 10 cubits large. It's in the mind of the architect at the time working on the shoebox. You have a shoebox, 10 cubic by 20 cubits, and the problem is to fix this chamber in the space. It's a volume. And their technique was very simple. They have no 3D, but with 2D, just a front plant and a vertical plant, you can do 3D. And in architecture, when I was a student in architecture, I learned to make the 3D model from 2D space. So I have a vision in my brain. I have a vision of what I am talking about. And things are with a grid. The Egyptians have no tools to make large measurements. So they worked on grids. Grids is very simple. The pyramid is only on a grid. To design the base of the pyramid, you have just to tell the workers, I want for Khufu's pyramid, I want 440 cubits, but it's 220 on each side of an axis, east-west or north-south axis, and with a first grid of 20 cubits by 20 cubits, you have just 11 lengths, 11 cubes on both sides of the axe, and that's it. You can write the dimensions of the pyramid on a subway ticket, just on a subway ticket or on a straka. On an straka, you can say you go this way, the 11, 20 cubits on the east, 20 cubits on the west, and that's it. And when you have this grid, you understand very well after, because you have corridors and rooms. You have a second grid, 1 cubit by 1 cubit, and People are asking, the Grand Gallery, what is the slope of the Grand Gallery? Is 26.5, 26.8, 26.2? No, it's 142. You rise for 1 cubit every 2 cubits. It's 50%. It's simple. Everything is like that.
How do you deal with the more technical perspective? Because we are talking about grids with very accurate measurements, but ancient Egyptians or any ancient civilization didn't have the tools or the possibilities of building anything in very exact measurements. So this inaccuracies,
Wait, but
did
you
you
have,
consider them, or did you just
yes,
work with a
because
perfect geometry
I,
to
I
build
have
up your theory?
I have the drawings from Gilles Dormion, a French architect. We did a huge work on all the measurements inside the pyramid. So all my drawings are designed on the real pyramid measurements. No, can be discussed. It's a real dimension of the pyramid, the inside the corridors and the roads. But
For example, if you had a wall that was not straight or parallel or perpendicular to the other, you considered also the different angles or
you are wrong. The corridors are very parallel to.
I'm talking theoretically, just in case, because I don't know the measurements by heart or anything, but I imagine that when you measure these monuments, these ancient monuments with more modern technologies, you may find out that those measurements are not as well. I don't know. I'm asking.
They are accurate because if you look at Khufu's pyramid, you have a big volume, but what has been built inside the pyramid, the descending corridor, horizontal corridor, ascending corridor, queen chamber, king chamber, are very accurate, but it's a very small space. And this space is very close to the north-south axis and the east-west axis. So they were very close to the measurements. The important problem is to get the axis, diagonal axis, and everything is very close to the axis. And the volume is very large, but it's a fish in. Yes, and you don't care about the size of the ball. The fish is inside. And everything is simple. And
So this is a short video of.
yes, and you can see that we have an external ramp rising on the south face.
Mhm.
And this ramp, you can build 80 of the pyramid. And you have a small, because the external ramp reach level 43, which is the level of the king chamber. And the pyramid is still built with this ramp, which is rising inside the pyramid in a trench. And when you see the level reached by the work at this level, you have made 85% of the pyramid. 85% is built with this external ramp. But Egyptians knew that they had to go higher because they were just at the middle of the height of the pyramid. And they built inside a small internal ramp, which was used then to take the blocks of the external ramp, to clean the block, to reuse the block, to build the upper part of the pyramid. So we have never found any remains of an external ramp. So because the blocks are at the top of the pyramid, no waste. Everything, limestone block cut from a quarry was at a price. So it would have been stupid to dump the blocks. So they use all the blocks. And for the facing blocks, it's impossible to dress the blocks from the top to the base because you have nothing to check the shape of the pyramid. But once again, the Egyptians were clever because they knew that the Tura limestone, the limestone blocks, which we were cut in the quarry on the east bank of the Nile at Tura, were very nice blocks with no just very fine and very white. And the idea was to cut at the quarry because the limestone was soft when it was in the quarry, just acquired from the quarry. It was easy to cut and to dress the blocks with copper scissors. Later on, with air and sun, the limestone was getting harder. So it would have been very difficult for the to cut the limestone later. So they had the good idea to make like we did in our civilization, in our modern building site, prefabrication. And the idea was to cut at the quarry, close each to other, next to other, one another, and to every face at the quarry, and to sand the blocks with the of the block on the pyramid, and the on the site just to put the blocks along the face at each level, and they had no reason to go outside the pyramid. And the thing of the pyramid was done by the facing block dressed at the quarry. If you had to dress the blocks at the end of the construction, it's 5 years of work more with no reason. It's always simple task, prepare. Logistic was very important. Logistic was the base of the success also. And the French Egyptologist Pierre Tallet found on the Red Sea with the Merer diary. And then on the Merer diary, you can see, you can read all the and the of the logistic and the method and the construire to build a pyramid. It's a question of method, logic, logistic, planning,
a huge engineering project.
Yes, it's big, and it's 45 centuries ago. This is the thing. It's 45 centuries ago. You never see in my theories anything which doesn't work. I imagine a city 600 meters below the pyramid. It's the idea. It's
going to ask you about since you have formulated your theory, there have been many new technologies applied to the pyramids to scan the pyramids, study the pyramids inside, outside, etc. What do you think about these new findings that have been made after you proposed your theory? Do you have any of those recent discoveries or technologies help you validate your theory?
To be frank, I can tell you that in 2004, I have set up a mission with microgravimetry, radar, infrared, acoustic, and with Dr. Ani Elal. Ani Elal is, I know him since 2002. And he made his studies in France at Nancy, École des Mines de Nancy, and he had cultural Egyptian culture in Paris. And I met him in 2002, and he told me one day we will make a mission together. So I prepared with him a mission in 2004. I met with Dr. Hawass many times, but Dr. Hawass never gave me the authorization to this mission. I had at the time I had Dr. Arnold, the Egyptologist from the Metropolitan Museum, which was on my side. I had Rainer Stadelmine on my side, German Institute, but Dr. Hawass killed this mission in 2005. And when I start to work with Dassault Systèmes, my theory became very famous in the world. We had on March 2007, we did a presentation on 3D real time and with glasses and a first screen IMAX and with 400 and journalists and the theory, the breaking during 2 days around the world. Even the Spanish television was there, and I started to become famous, and we did the same kind of presentation in 2011, in January 2011, the night before tire revolution. So it was not the best timing to make. So we had very successful media. It was impossible to do anything for 2 years. And in 2013, I contacted Dr. Ali Elal, who was in Egypt at the Faculty of Engineering. And I told him, Hani, we have to go back to prepare a mission in Egypt. So at the time, I was contacted by a Japanese scientist, Hiroyuki Tanaka. He was from the Tokyo University, and he had a technique. It's a technique the Japanese use to see through the volcanoes to see if the lava is coming out to prepare the people in case of an eruption. And he told me, Jean-Pierre, my technique is good for the pyramid because I can see everything inside with the myography. So I said, okay, we will make a mission. And we prepared this mission from 2013 to 2015 for 2 years. And with Professor Tanaka being unavailable, not available in 2014, he told us that another university was ready to the mission, and it was Nagoya, University of Nagoya. Also the KEK, which is the scientific institution in Japan, which discovered that the nuclear reactor in Fukushima had disappeared in the ground. And so they were not quacks. They were very scientific. We were ready to make a mission in 2015, and with the help also of the Canadian University of Laval with infrared and a French specialist in infrared. And we got the authorization to the mission. And we set with some people from Dassault Systèmes a special association for the case, is the HIP Institute. And the HIP Institute was the coordinator with the Egyptian Faculty of Engineering in Cairo, with Dr. Professor Hani Elal, to carry the mission. And the mission was scan pyramids, because scan pyramids was a baby of my work. Big problem for me is that Dr. Awaz said, okay, he was not the Minister of Antiquities at the time, but he was behind the scene. And he said to the Minister of Antiquities at the time, who was a nice guy, Damati, and he said, okay, you can proceed with this mission, but I don't want Houdin in the mission. So I have to quit the mission. I have to stay behind the scene. But I was in Paris, but I am the Secretary General of the HIP Institute, so I have a core of the mission. And the mission, a real mission, scientific mission, had discovered 3 very important discoveries. The big one is the big void. It's a void the size of the Grand Gallery, above the first one. And it's not a trick, it's not a quack. It's a 400 cubic meters large void. And it fits perfectly with my ideas of counterweight to rise the beams. I had with my counterweight the way to rise the beams for the king chamber, because I had to use the human force, because the counterweight in in the Grand Gallery was not sufficient to rise the beams. So I have to keep pulling ropes. I'm very satisfied with that. But I have only one Grand Gallery at the time. And I always thought the Egyptian was not stupid to build a Grand Gallery and to use only half of its capacities. So when the discovery was made, I was in Paris. The Japanese scientists told us we have found a big void. I said immediately, this big void is the second Grand Gallery above the first one. And they were talking about a gallery of 30 meters long. I said, no, sir, your gallery is 40 meters long. 2 years later, they said, this gallery is 40 meters long. I knew, because for many years I had this in my brain, somewhere in my brain. I said, maybe the Egyptian had the second gallery above the first, because it will ease everything. It will be in their mind, So Big Void is a very, very important discovery. The second one was made by the CEA. The CEA is a Commissariat à l'énergie atomique in France, the biggest scientific institution in France. And with another technique of myography, when we made the test of the technique, they avoid below the northeastern edge of the pyramid. And this void is the same size of a void which is visible today on this edge, and 20 meters. And you have seen in the video that I have an internal ramp with corners, with rooms in chambers to change the direction of the to rise the small box of limestone. So it's a second discovery which fits with my ideas. And the third one is behind the rafters on the north face. You have on the north you have two big set of rafters above the former entrance, the original entrance of the pyramid. And you have a large. In 2003, 22 years ago, I have a vision. I said, behind this rafter, you have a chamber. And I said at that time, if we have a chamber here, there is a second corridor linking the entrance to the king chamber directly. And in 2003, I sent it was in 2003. And I said, one day we will find this room. And when I met with Dassault Systèmes, I showed my idea, my theory with the internal ramp. And I said, I have something else also. I have a second corridor, set of corridor to go from the entrance to the king chamber. And they said, oh, it's okay, but we have to wait, because we will work on one thing, and after we will work on the second thing. And the second thing was in 2011, the tire revolution. But 14 years ago, I disclosed this. And in 2022, in 2016, they said, we have found a corridor behind the rafter. And I said to the Japanese, this is not a corridor, it's a chamber. And it took us years to confirm that it was a chamber. with the help of Munich German university with radar. And in 2022, 23, I mixed the date because it's a 10 years mission. It's not it's the others looking at the pictures. And on February, on 24th, they inserted an endoscope between the joints of the blocks under the rafter, and they discovered a room 9 meters long, 2 meters, 4 cubits large, 2 meters and 10 centimeters, and 2 meters 40 centimeters high below the rafters. And it was my room, my chamber. And this was disclosed in a large conference at the base of the pyramid, just in front of this chamber. And Dr. Awas said the stupid things, because the first thing, because he knew about, I said for 14 years that there is a room behind the rafters. The magic of this is that the room is 82 centimeters from the face. We have to wait for centuries for human eyes to see again this room, which was at 82 centimeters from the face. Do you imagine the millions of people looking at the pyramid, and the chamber was cut 82 centimeters behind the rafters? It's incredible, incredible. Dr. Awas, knowing that I said there is a corridor linking to the king's chamber behind, at the end, the rear of the chamber, and there is the internal room above this room, just above. The first thing he said at the press conference, the most stupid words he has never said: there is nothing to see at the rear, there is nothing to see above. It's below. There is a king's chamber below. More stupid, you're killed. This guy for 20 years block science, and the big problem for this from this during this time, a lot of alternative theories, stupid things are said about the pyramid. I am sure that the architect of the Khufu's pyramid on CAF must be laughing at these people, saying that these people are crazy people. They take us for morons, but they were absolutely not morons. They were very, very genius people. This is my what pushed me to, because I imagined 45 centuries ago, where were us? We were in caverns with a big stick each other, and these guys were building the pyramids easily.
It's amazing thought. And oh, sorry. You have you focused on Khufu's pyramid, or have you?
No. When I started to work at Khufu's pyramid, I said, first thing I have to do is to learn how was the Egyptians at the time, the fourth dynasty, third dynasty, and to understand the know-how, what was at the time. So I spent of time learning, and by learning the past, I understood what they were thinking when they were doing things. And when you think that there was no, we were doing, you see the land of the pharaohs and Cecil B2000 also. Hollywood movies have brought a lot of bad ideas about the pyramid and the people. Building pyramids was not a fantasy for a king. No, it was the great work of the country. It's pyramids built Egypt. All the economy and the civilization about the pyramid, it was making the society progressing, having discovering, experimenting, and when you look at the size of the pyramid in the fourth dynasty, you see that the number of blocks, of granite blocks or limestone blocks, the weight of the blocks on the fourth pyramid made by the Khufu, Khafre, Menkaure, and Snefru, the same family, the same family, Snefru, and 70.5 millions of tons of blocks easily quarried and easily brought, easily set on the pyramid, and with the people working, not singing every morning, but they were making something for the king, but for them also, because they were feed, they were the economy was on the pyramid. When you look at the Nile Valley, the Nile was a year. So every year, the geometers had to redesign the fields. So they learned a lot about making cadastre, and so everything was like that. And when also there was the peasant were so they came at the pyramid to bring the blocks. They were drinking, they were eating fish, and it was an organization, a strong organization. We are not talking about tribes. It was a civilization. And the problem is that this civilization has disappeared. And we should take care of our civilization, because civilizations are not fit to stay forever. When you look at
history in general, it happens all the
yes,
time.
we have
Cycles.
I think we are entering in a difficult cycle these last months and days. And
Topic of the pyramids, how they were built, it's going to be, I think, an eternal topic of discussion and arguments, and we're still going to be finding out new information in many years to come, hopefully. And I wanted to thank you for being here. Maybe we can continue the conversation
definitely.
because it's a very easy topic to talk about. So we can do this another time. And I hope you enjoyed the
Yes,
time you
I am sorry for my English, but yeah, I don't speak
perfectly fine.
I don't speak very often English. I write a lot in English, and I have written 3 memoirs which are on my academia page as Jean-Pierre Houdin, and it's 450 page about the 3 discoveries of the Scan Pyramid mission. And I think that this work will stay in history, and because I am sure that I am not wrong, because nobody has never tried to attack my ideas. You can have people who say bad things, but they are unable to say that doesn't work, because that works. And the main
of ideas, and yeah, some people support part of these
but
ideas here or there.
most of the people say
Mhm.
makes sense. It's just 2 words, makes sense.
Maybe in the future we will know for sure. Who knows? Let's hope. And the only thing we can do basically is continue the research and continue studying and finding out everything we can about the pyramids or about ancient Egypt in general. And thank you again.
Thank you.
And
Okay, thank
see
you.
you soon.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
bye bye, Jean. Bye, Alicia.
Bye.